Harry's Wife, Part 102.72. Why does she wear the Trevor bracelet? Many of you know that Harry's wife has been married before, once, possibly twice, depending on who you ask, and she was married to Trevor Engleson. Notoriously, Harry's wife sent the engagement and wedding bands back to Mr. Engleson by FedEx, which was an act of devaluation and triangulation in a malign fashion, triangulating him with the symbols of their union. It was also done in a dismissive way where she couldn't be bothered either to keep them or personally hand them back to him. However, as a contrast to that act, she still wears the Cartier Love Bracelet that Mr. Engleson gave her, which has caused many people to find it strange that she still wears a bracelet that her ex-husband gave her. Many people think, well, it's as a consequence of the fact that it's Cartier and therefore it's expensive and there's status associated with it, and that's why she wears it. But it does, of course, raise an interesting question. Given the fact that she ended the relationship with him, sent the rings back to him in the fashion that I've just described, why has she retained this bracelet? Surely, if she were consistent, she would have returned the bracelet to him, along perhaps with other possessions. What you must remember, of course, is that the only consistency about a narcissist is the consistent adherence to the pursuit of the prime aims: control, fuel, character traits, and residual benefits. I often explain that the narcissist is often like a weather vane twirling in the wind, seemingly pointing in all directions at once. In order to achieve those prime aims, the narcissist cannot be fettered by having a stated and fixed position. Of course, there are some aspects of the narcissist's life which do seem more consistent than others, for instance, the football team that they might support. But then there are other narcissists that would swap football teams in the same way as they would swap their underwear. The point is that the narcissist is able to pursue those prime aims, irrespective of any other form of consistency. If that means being friends with you at 9 a.m, hating you at 10 a.m, being friends with you again at 11 a.m, then the narcissist will do so. If that means saying that the narcissist really loves and enjoys eating broccoli, then absolutely can't stand it, and then actually praises your broccoli as the best that's ever been made, then the narcissist will do so. The narcissist will state A, then B, then C, and then perhaps go back to A, or deny that B and C were ever stated. That flexibility is important, because the pursuit of the prime aims comes above everything else, hence why they're called the prime aims. Accordingly, with Harry's wife, at the moment her narcissism determined that it was necessary to send a message to Mr. Engleson by way of devaluing him, it was determined that that would mean sending back the wedding and engagement rings to him. However, the narcissism at that juncture did not think that it was appropriate to return the Cartier bracelet. What it was focused on was the symbol of the union between the two of them having come to an end, and that was embodied in both the wedding and engagement rings. Hence, they got returned. At that point, the Cartier bracelet wasn't on the agenda. Thereafter, when Harry's wife saw that bracelet, you might think, oh, well, you should send that back to him as well, because, like the wedding and engagement rings, they were given to her by him. But at that later point, we're no longer in the moment of sending the rings back. Time has moved forward. And because of compartmentalization, at point A, it was apt to send the rings back. At point T, when the bracelet comes on board, it isn't appropriate to return it, so she doesn't. Exhibiting a sense of entitlement to retain an item that was given to her as a gift, which is a contradiction to how she behaved with other items, doesn't faze Harry's wife. Why? Because she simply doesn't think about it. Her narcissism does not do this. You sent the rings back. You really ought to send the Cartier Love Bracelet back to him. Nah, fuck it, thinks Harry's wife. I like it. It's shiny. I'll keep it. That just doesn't happen, because that is suggestive of some kind of conscience, possibly suggesting that it ought to be returned. Quite simply, it doesn't cross her mind. She doesn't think to herself, should I send this back or not? It just doesn't enter her brain. You might then think, okay, so it's one thing as to why she didn't return the bracelet, but perhaps why did she not sell it, or perhaps it's just stuck in a drawer somewhere. Why is it that she wears it so prominently? Is this perhaps about sending a signal to Mr. Engleson? Actually, it's not. Although some narcissists will triangulate past partners with the new partner or with some kind of possession, more usually the past partner is forgotten about because the narcissist is focusing on the new person. And it is a common misunderstanding by the person that has been disengaged from that the narcissist is engaging in behaviours which are directed at them. That's invariably the misinterpretation placed upon it by that disengaged from victim through their own emotional thinking. For instance, many people erroneously go and look at the social media of the narcissist when they've been disengaged from, only to read that this person is writing all of these wonderful things about the new person that they are with. And they think, HG, are they writing all of these things to cock a snook at me? Is this directed at me? The short answer is no. It's directed at the new person that they are with and other people in the coterie that might see these pronouncements. You've been disengaged from. You're persona non grata. You're not being thought about. Here, the messages are being placed to assert control over the new golden period intimate partner primary source and to receive the accolades and praise from those compliant members of the coterie, non-intimate secondary sources, friends and family. You, as the outgone and disengaged from former intimate partner primary source, are not currently on the radar. You understandably interpret it as being directed towards you, but it's not. Of course, it has the collateral consequence of perhaps provoking you, but that isn't the intention of the narcissist when they write those messages. Similarly, there'll be those that would be thinking, does she wear this to basically say, hello, Trev, I've still got the bracelet, nah. No, it's quite simply the fact that this is an expensive bracelet, and Harry's wife deems that it is appropriate for her to keep it as a consequence of the status that she believes that she has. That she sees nothing wrong with wearing a bracelet that was given from a former husband when she's married to somebody else, lack of emotional empathy for Engleson, lack of emotional empathy for Ginger Bollocks, and in the circumstances it shows her sense of entitlement to do that and no accountability for her behaviour. To the extent that Mr. Engleson may, and he probably doesn't, look at anything that contains Harry's wife, he would see the bracelet, and that might trouble him. It won't trouble him to the extent that he's provoked to contact her. But it might trouble him a little, I suspect not at all these days, having very much moved on. The point of her wearing it is born out of a sense of entitlement to keep a piece of expensive jewellery with a contradictory behaviour to the way that she behaved with regard to the other pieces of jewellery, because she sees it as a status piece that aligns with her own inflated sense of style, fashion, and value. She isn't wearing it to triangulate Mr. Engleson. She isn't wearing it to triangulate Prince Harry with it, although there might be instances where she could do that. For instance, let us say Prince Harry has offended her sense of control by purchasing for her a picture of the bananas of empowerment. And this does not find favour with Harry's wife, and therefore she lambasts the Prince of Pink Pancakes. What the fuck have you bought me this for, you clown? You've got no taste when it comes to gifts. Trevor had. And then she lifts up her wrist and points to the Cartier bracelet. See, he bought me this. It's beautiful. He knew me. He understood me. Now, of course, the poor old Prince of Pink Pancakes is left confused because undoubtedly he will have heard Harry's wife smearing Mr. Engleson in the past. Oh, me and Trevor didn't get on for this reason, that reason. And she'll have said all of that during the golden period to Harry to make Harry feel better and to indirectly assert control over Mr. Engleson when he has come up on the radar by smearing him. However, showing again the contradictory natures of the narcissist. At a later juncture, when Harry finds himself in the sustained devaluation, Mr. Engleson finds himself painted white. That doesn't mean that Harry's wife wants to get back together with him, but merely the presence of the bracelet is then used to triangulate with Harry by looking on the bracelet favourably. This is a beautiful gift from Trevor. And he's a really good gift buyer. You're not. So in that instance, she will specifically use it to triangulate Harry with it to devalue him. But her ordinary wearing of it isn't done to triangulate. It's quite simply about she believes that she can wear it because it looks really good. She sees it as expensive. If Harry were to say to her, for instance, during the golden period, why are you still wearing that bracelet? He might not even realise that it's from Mr. Engleson, and she would just say, oh, I bought it myself, it's lovely, isn't it? And completely ignore the fact that it came from Mr. Engleson. Or, if Harry was aware, he might have protested, why do you still wear that bracelet from Trevor? Oh, I don't think of it being from Trevor. It's nothing to do with him. I just like the bracelet because it's a lovely bracelet. I don't wear it because of him. Now come here and let me soothe your fevered pods with some spicy poontang. And she deflects to nullify that threat to control by moving on to doling out some spicy poontang for Prince Harry in order to nullify the threat to control posed by him questioning her about her wearing a bracelet from her former husband. Like any narcissist, she will attribute whiteness or blackness to the object as and when is required. But her wearing of it is simply about the fact that it is a status symbol because of its expense, and that accords with the somatic nature of her, so that people might say, oh, lovely bracelet, where's that from? And thus they are triangulated with that. But she doesn't specifically wear it to triangulate Mr. Engleson with it or Prince Harry, but if need be, she can draw attention to it in certain instances to triangulate Prince Harry with it. That, born out of her sense of entitlement, lack of emotional empathy, absence of accountability, is why she continues to wear the Cartier Love Bracelet. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.